So for today, we're going to talk about the 6x6 frame. Inside the studio, you can find great uses for this, and we'll talk about those another time. Outside is where the majority of this frame plays. Outside, what we can do with this is the same thing we can do with any sort of flag or silk or net in our flag kit, only of a much larger scale. So we get to control the sun to this tiny little bit of a degree while we're outside and shooting, okay? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. How do we safely set up a 6x6 frame and attach a fabric to it? What we're going to need is we're going to need 2 C-stands. Any larger than a 6x6, we would definitely step up our stands. But for a 6x6, C-stands are totally fine. We're going to need 4 sandbags, 2 for each C-stand. Double the weight, because remember, when we put the fabric on, this is almost like a mini sail, right? Like if you think like a boat. So a really strong wind could start to catch in this fabric, and that's why we're going to double down on the sandbags. You're going to need the frame, and depending on the frame you're using, you're going to need either to be using spigots that you're going to see right here. These are bolted onto the frame, so we're going to show you how that's done. Our second set is different because we got to make sure you're used to both ways. The second set comes with ears, and we're going to show you how to attach a frame using frame ears as well, okay? You're going to need your gloves, because without these, you're not putting this together, okay? We always wear our gloves, especially when we're grip and we're in the lighting department. The last thing you're going to need is 2-inch cloth tape, okay? We love gaffer's tape here. 2-inch cloth gaffer's tape, preferably black. That's the way we go. Those are the tools. Now all we need is a student to help us set up, okay? Hello, Ethan. All right, the first one we're going to put together is the Spigot 6x6. It's a little easier, a little quicker anyways, so we're going to start with that one. You're going to notice that the frame is already taped together, okay? And that's kind of essential. So when we're done, we're going to pack this into 4 pieces, we're going to collapse them together, and then we're going to use this same cloth tape, this gaffer's tape, to put it together. So now we're going to put the 4 pieces together to make our 6x6 square. We might have to move the C-stands a little out of the way, but we'll see what happens, okay? Ethan, let's take care of that, buddy. Awesome. So take the part that has the spigot and point it towards the C-stand, because that's where it's going to go. I'll give that to you, and now we're going to put this one together. And now the last piece. That's easy. Now we're going to use that same tape, and we're going to tape these 4 connections together. And just like that, the 4 pieces are now taped together. Next step is to pick it up. And this is where the spigot is going to come into play. We're going to take the grip head of our C-stand, and we're going to open it up so that we can slide this spigot safely in. We'll start with one stand and then the other. So we'll start with mine first. In it goes. The last thing we've done is we've adjusted the big leg here to be in the front, okay? Because we're going to put one of the sandbags on the large leg. So we'll do that now. And then the other sandbag goes on the lower tiered leg. So now you've got 2 sandbags on each one. It's very, very secure. It's not going to go anywhere. So our frame is up. It's not that hard at all, is it? Yeah, it's easy. Next thing we got to do is put the fabrics on, okay? In order to do that, we're going to loosen the grip head that is now holding the spigot in place, just ever so slightly, so that we can tilt the frame forward. And make sure to always look around you and all of your surroundings before you start moving large things like this around, okay? A little bit of safety goes a long way. So I've loosened my end. Ethan's done the same. And there we go. So now we have the other frame, and this is the one with the ears. Make sure that they are unlocked to the point where the bolts are not going to block the frame coming in. Slide it through, and then halfway, just tighten them. That's it. That's the first step, okay? So we do that for both, and then we're going to tape it up the same way we did the other frame with spigots. So let's do that right now. So now we have our 6x6 built, and we want to make sure that the ears here are pointed forward, okay? It's very, very important that we do that. Now, with the grip head on the C-stand, we were putting the spigot through the receiver hole. But what we're going to do this time is actually slide it through the holes of the receiver and this little puck on the back here. We're going to make a space by loosening this up significantly so that this slides back and forth. I'm then going to slide my end in. Ethan's going to do the same. We're going to lock it. And there you go. That's how it works. If we wanted to put the fabric on, we would loosen it and then tilt it forward. So now we have this in place. We can put our fabrics on and go through the exact same method. So the first fabric we're going to put on is the 6x6 solid. Now when we say solid, we're referring to black duvetine. It's the exact same material you would find on your flags, whether they be the small flag, which is an 18x24, or the large flag, which is a 24x36. There we're talking about inches, but now we're upgrading to feet. So this is a 6x6, but does the exact same thing. The best way to do this, to make sure it doesn't touch the ground, because you never want these fabrics to touch the ground, because then they're going to get dirty and we have to wash them, is we're going to keep it folded to a certain degree, pass one side to your assistant, in this case the amazing Ethan, and what Ethan's going to do is he's going to let this fall down a little bit, and he's going to tie one of the corners in place, and then we're going to do the other one, and then I'm going to do my side and over here. On a 6x6, it's easy to do it this way because there's not a whole lot of space, and the potential of this hitting the ground is actually pretty minimal. As we get to larger fabrics, which we will cover in other videos, because we do have an 8-foot by 8-foot frame, and we also have a 12x20 frame for our new backdrops in the studio. It'll be a little different how we put the fabric on. We're going to use some strategy to make sure it never touches the ground. So we've tied the fabric back on, but now what I want to do is I'm going to flip it up, and I'm going to show you a couple of things to look out for, and then we're going to finalize this and get it ready, okay? So we're going to flip it up by loosening the grip head and slowly turning it back into place. Now, depending on the fabric, having a little bit of looseness and bend to this, it's not a big deal. With regards to a solid, it's totally fine, okay? But there are going to be materials where you need it to be tight in order for it to do the job you want it to do, okay? Your diffusions especially, they've got to be really tight. And depending on your nets, if they're a double weave, you're going to want to make sure they're super tight as well so that they give you the consistency you want. So it depends on the material. So quite often, when you put the fabric on, tie it up, look at it, and then reassess where you need to pull corners more tight. Like for example, this is an obvious exaggeration, but that's pretty loose now, right? It might have looked okay when it was the first one you've done, but now that you've done the rest, there's way too much slack here. I want to also show you one other thing. You'll notice that there's a space here. So the frame is 6x6. The fabrics are never 6x6. They're designed to be a little bit smaller so that you do have the ability to pull the fabric tighter. Now we can see what this fabric's going to do. So it's going to block light of a large degree. We want consistency. That's why studios are so awesome, right? Because we have to be in control of our environment. But when we're not in a location, we have to then take efforts to recontrol the space. And that's where these come into play. So a large window, you can take this outside, plop it right in front. Now it's nighttime. For the rest of the day, you're good to go. So it's kind of neat for that sense. This is a 6x6 bleach muslin. So the material is a muslin, and we call it bleach because it's been bleached. And now it has a nice white look to it. This is great for really intense diffusion of light. I mean, talking intense, but it's also a beautiful bounce. So this is a great way to bounce nice soft light into a location. A big, nice, soft light source. Because again, the softer your light, the bigger your light. We can treat this into a 6x6 light source. This fabric is the quarter silk. What does that mean? Well, you know the silk, it's in your flag kit, you've got one. This is a quarter, so it's a quarter of the density. That just means it's more translucent. So if you just want a very subtle diffusion, something very, very subtle, this is where the quarter silk comes in. From this density, you should be able to see through the fabric and not only see the brick wall, but you can also see Ethan behind there as well, okay? So when we put the silk on next, it'll be much more difficult to see the brick wall. Dare I say impossible. Let's find out. And now we have the full silk, okay? And as you can see, it's much more difficult to see the brick wall, maybe even impossible. I think there's an Ethan back there. Depending on the age of the fabric, you'll notice the webbing might be 1 inch, 2 inch, it might be a different color, and you might see different size grommet holes, and the distances might vary as well, okay? So what does that mean? It just means apply best practice. You know what the end result of the fabric is, so just get it there as best you can. And if there's a physical limitation to how tight you can make the silk because there's not enough grommet holes, then so be it, okay? Just do the best you can with the material you're given, okay? No problem whatsoever. Let's see what's next. The 6x6 silver lame. Basically, this is a very, very large version of the kind of reflector you would normally hold in your hands. If that's not big enough, you need something bigger, a big, larger source. How about a 6x6? That's what this can do for you. Let's see what's next. Pretty cool, right? Yeah, the gold lame. These go all the way up. You can get 20x20s of these, no problem, right? This is the gold reflector, 6x6. Let's see what's next. The 6x6 single net. Again, just like what you have in your flag kit. And lastly, the double net, the 6x6 double net. You'll see hopefully you can see it, there's a red webbing here. Again, it's much more difficult to see, Ethan. We definitely are seeing now 2 stops. At the end of the day, we've taken our fabric off and now we have to fold it, okay? There's a specific way we want to do this. So we want to make sure that we start with our corners and our other end. We're going to fold them together. We're going to go like this. And then I'm going to move forward. We're going to put the 2 corners together. And then we're going to do another fold in 3. So 1, and another one like that, 2. And we are now done. 3. When I'm on set or when I'm delivering fabrics when I was on set, I would always deliver it like this. The bag the fabric comes in is going to tell you the size and the material, but look, when we're doing dozens and dozens of rags every day, we might misplace one. One might go into the wrong bag. When you fold it this way, we can see the material and then we can then verify the size. Because good manufacturers are going to put the sizes on the corners because they know this is how we fold it. So when your key grip, when your assistant grip, or anyone else on the team comes to grab a fabric, they're going to be fully confident that they've got the right one, and we're not going to waste time taking it to set only to find out we got to go back and do it all over again. So I highly recommend start the practice now. This is how we want to fold. So the fabrics are all done. We've looked at all of them. We've seen what they can do. We'll try and get more fabrics as well. If you want to take a look online, you see something you like. We're all about supporting the individual needs of our students. Whatever you want, we'll take care of it, okay? So take a look online at any of the great suppliers that we have, and we'll talk about that, okay? But for right now, let's take down the frame. So the first thing we're going to do is remove it from the grip heads of our C-stands. So we'll loosen them up, and then we'll just slip them out one at a time. I'll go first, just like that. Now Ethan's done the same. Now we can remove it from the stands. And we can start removing the tape. Again, if this was duct tape, you'd be hating yourself right now, okay? But with gaffer's tape, this is going to take 2 seconds. So we've just broken down the frame into 4 pieces again, and we would like you to start laying it like this. So one person just kind of holds them in place, lifts it up off the ground, and that's it. We take our C-stands, we put the arms back on, we take our sandbags, we take everything, we go back to the cage, we're good to go. One last note to all of our grips. If you're using our fabrics and they go outside, do not put them back in the bag while they are wet. They have to air dry first, okay? Otherwise we're going to get mold and we got to throw it out. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, come see myself. Go talk to our equipment cage workers. They're there to help you. Good luck on the proficiency test, and we'll see you next time.